Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Lives live Falcons mock draft 2.0 featuring my co-host Adnan Ikic. I am, of course, Kevin Knight. We are here to bring you guys another live Falcon simulation. We will be going through all 7 rounds. At this time, we will be considering trades probably at the top, because if we stop to talk about trades at every single pick, that probably get bogged down. But we will consider trades at 8 and maybe like on day 2 if there's something cooking that we like. But welcome in everyone. Appreciate everyone for joining us tonight. I know a lot of people very excited. I know we'll have a lot of people watching this after the fact very excited to look at some potential draft simulations here. I know we had a lot of fun last time as well, so we're gonna get to it. Before we get started, want to welcome in, of course, Adnan Ikic. Adnan, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing well. At this rate, I think people are going to think that one, I only show up for mock drafts, and two, the only way for me to show up is at these Patreon
Yeah.
events, because I haven't been on a Wednesday show in like 4 or 5 weeks at this point.
Adnan's exclusive now. It's basically OnlyFans for Adnan to get
Yeah.
to get in here.
But I was on the last Patreon event
That's
which
right.
was the last mock draft we did. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, moving forward, my Wednesdays should be good to go.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is just the time of the year where I'm gone for like a month.
Yeah, it's a difficult time, we know, but we get some guests on. It's all good. We thankfully we have a deep bench of guests now to get us through the dark period with Adnan before we get back into the summer. But welcome in everyone. Welcome Mad Tom K. What's up, guys? We will be once again making these picks, talking about trades with your input. And we will go from here real quick. I'm gonna get our ad read in. Just so I don't have to edit it in later because it takes super long. So I apologize, patrons. Typically, you guys get an ad-free experience, but bear with me here on this to save me like 20 minutes of editing. Guys, BetOnline is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoffs. They've got the latest stats, news, and scores available to you as you follow your favorite teams on their path to the playoffs. Now, what are we thinking the Hawks' chances are of actually surviving this play-in here?
Do you want me to talk to you objectively or talk to you with my heart?
I
Because
mean, I don't know the answer either way.
answers.
So yeah, whatever you think.
Very different answers.
Yeah.
I'd like to, tell myself that we'll get through that play in, and give Boston a run for their money. But having watched this team all season, maybe we win on Wednesday, and then after that, I don't want to talk about it.
Well, at least they've got a chance for the playoffs, unlike the Falcons. So no, the Falcons probably will have a chance this year, but last year we were out of it, unfortunately. But no matter what you want to bet on, guys, whether that's NBA, NHL, MLB, golf, all that stuff, you can get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there by going to betonline.ag. So what are you waiting for, folks? Head to that website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action at BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. Let's dive right in. I know we've got a mock that I went ahead and started here. It's fairly chalky. Unlike last time, I think we had some weird players available. This time it's fairly chalky. Quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, and then we get a fourth quarterback at 6 to the Giants, which is probably what will happen if nobody trades up. And then we have Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Joe Alt also go off the board. So the Falcons are sitting at 8 with Rome Odunze as the top available player. And then, of course, all the edge rushers, all the cornerbacks, basically all the defensive players and Rome Odunze are available. And this is a little bit different than the last one. Adnan, curious, before we talk about potential trades, because I think in this scenario where Rome Odunze is on the board here, that's probably the best ticket to a trade down. But I wonder what do you think? Do you think they would consider, if they can't get a trade down done or the value's not good or what have you, is it like an option to just take Rome Odunze, who I would definitely say is the best player available? Like he's a more talented player than the edge rushers at this point. So,
Well, at this point, if the draft shakes out like this, I think the Falcons can be happy, because if you're a Falcons fan, you should want as many quarterbacks to go in those first 7 picks as possible. And, personally, I don't see it with JJ McCarthy, but a lot of analysts, a lot of GMs do see it with JJ McCarthy to the point where, given that quarterback tax, it seems like he will go before the Falcons, which, in this case, great. It's great for the Falcons. I really, really like Roma Dunze. I think I mentioned it during our last mock. During our last mocks, we took Lied to Latu at this point, which, good pick. Dallas Turner is available. Verse is available. Those are the big three edge guys. I actually had a take that I like Odunze even more than Malik Neighbors, who in this draft went as wide receiver one. I just love the translation from college to the NFL for a big-bodied wide receiver who is adept at running every single route on the route tree. And I think Odunze, I don't think it's a hot take to say that Odunze is the best route runner in this draft. Also, given the fact that he's 6'3",
Yeah.
big body, it's sort of a match made in heaven. And if the Falcons come out of this draft at 8 with Odunze as the pick, I'll be completely satisfied. I know there will be a contingent of the fan base that's ready to burn Flowery Branch to the ground, but I feel like that's the case with every single draft where, there's always a percentage of fans that are saying, oh no, this is the worst pick of all time. How could they? What's wrong with them? Fire the GM, fire everyone, fire Arthur Blank, even though that's not possible. But yeah, I would certainly very much consider Odunze at 8, no matter what the board is looking like, if he's still on the board. Last time we did go with edge because of the need, but this time I feel like it would be very fun to roll with that trade down just to spice it up a little bit, even though, let's be honest, I don't think the Falcons have traded down in the first round since 1990. Like it's
Don't you think they're overdue for one?
they've been overdue for one for the last 2 decades,
Mhm.
but every single year we talk about this possibility, we talk about, hey, it would be smart to load up on those picks a little bit. And every single year, I don't even think they consider it. They're like, oh, trade down. What's that?
Yep, he's done. Like Fontenot, to his credit, has traded down on day 2, but not on day 1 yet. I do think like this is the year that I think actually has the most realistic chance of a trade down because of the way the board is going to fall, because of the guys that could be here. It'll either be Roma Dunze or Joe Alt that end up making it to this point, probably. And then, there's always the chance that we get teams desperate for those quarterbacks, even the 5th and 6th quarterbacks. I think it's ridiculous to be trading up for Michael Penix or Bo Nix. I'm going to make that clear. I think that's ridiculous, but it's not my place to say no to the Broncos or the Raiders or, whoever else. If they want to come up to get those guys, I don't really care who you're coming up for. I just want the pick. So that is an interesting thing to consider as well. But yeah, I know the fans have spoken. I believe it's a unanimous decision that we want to trade down. So let's look at.
The fans want fun.
Yeah.
The fans want something different.
Yes, I agree, and I do agree with you. I think Roma Dunze is definitely the best player available. I think he is. Compared to the other two, both have a higher ceiling, but I don't see any scenario where Roma Dunze is bad. I feel like him about how I felt about Drake London, where it was I feel very confident Drake London's going to be a good NFL player. I don't know if he's going to be a great player, but he'll be good. And I think thus far that's what Drake London's been, and I think you're pretty happy with that if you get a good wide receiver one. And I think that's what Roma Dunze can be. And if they're trying to go all in on this offense, that would be the pick to do. And I think certainly value wise in terms of that, wide receiver and edge rusher are actually pretty equivalent in terms of value at this point, given contracts and stuff like that. The difference is that you can often get wide receivers that contribute later in the draft where you can't do that as easily with edge. That's the one sort of thing with it that often gets brought up, but we're going to talk about the trade down because that's what the people want. And PFF gives us some teams that are interested. And the nice thing about PFF is you can just force a trade to go through if we want to. So we don't have to worry too much about that. But the Jets want to trade up. That one is very likely. I think the Jets would love to get Roma Dunze or even Brock Bowers, but I don't think they would trade up for him. So the thing about the Jets pick is it's probably we're going to be able to get their third, and and that's probably about it. Like, so we could just get a third for that. I don't know that they would be willing to give us anything else. Um, maybe we could try to get one of their later picks, or maybe if they, we could try to throw in a pot sweetener and maybe get. I don't think they'll send the fourth too. So that's the thing. If we go to the Jets, like we only have to drop 2 spots, but we do get a third, so that's reasonable. Sorry, I forgot to skip the ads for you guys. I'll give that a second to. This YouTube is aggressive with these ads. All right, and then the next team on the list would be the Denver Broncos. Again, the problem there is they don't have a second round pick. The difference with the Broncos is that we could probably get like significantly more from them. Like they only have a third, but we could probably get like a future third too with the Broncos. We could get their second next year and then like their fourth this year or something like that. But I think we're trying to focus on picks this year for the most part. And also I hate Sean Payton, so I don't really want to trade with him. But the one I think is really interesting, and the PFF says they're not like interested, so we'd have to force this to go through, which I don't really care about. But the Raiders at 13, like if they're really trying to get a quarterback, they could be interested in coming up. And I know there's been some speculation that they, could be coming up for an offensive lineman. That would probably be more if Joe Alt was here, I guess. But say the Raiders really wanted to get like Michael Penix or something like that. We could probably get their second because of the move from 13 to 8 is bigger. So yeah, those would probably be. I know like we could go like deeper. Like the Colts would probably be willing to come up. We could probably get like maybe their second and a fourth in exchange for our like. We could throw in 197 as a pot sweetener, which I love to do. You know how much I love to trade that last pick away. But so yeah, if we did the Colts, we'd have to drop down to 15, which is a little bit more risky. But we could get their second at 46 and then probably get their fourth as well if we just send them back like 197, which is a 6-rounder. But yeah, I mean, what kind of which of those do you like the best on those options?
I like all of them honestly. Just because one, you don't want to trade back too much. Like, I'm not interested in trading back with, let's say a team like what did the Cardinals have another first rounder in this draft?
Yeah, I think they're in like the early 20s.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like I'm not interested in moving back all the way there, just because I feel like the top of this draft has some serious blue chip prospects that I don't want to say that other drafts don't, but I do think there's a bit of a drop off in my opinion between the top of this draft and like the middle to late rounds of this draft, maybe even which is a little bit more dramatic than usual than in a normal year. But if you do trade back, you do want to play sort of a mathematical game a little bit. You have the 3 edge rushers, which, at this point, I think I don't want to say they're completely interchangeable, but I think we'd be satisfied getting either of those 3, especially after stocking up the draft treasure chest a little bit. You have those 3, you have Rome Odunze. So you're pretty much talking about, 4 players that would be, sort of A picks. So you're also looking at who is trading up with you, who they're likely to get, who is going to pick who in between, 8 and wherever you move back to. So you do just want to be like, all right, I don't want to be in a position where all 4 of those guys are off the board by the time we move, by the time, we get back onto the clock. At that point, I don't think it would be worth it. Like, no offense. I like Cooper DeJean. I don't like Cooper DeJean more than the edge rushers, for example.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, doing the mathematical probability, the Jets, you're moving back 2 picks. You have 4 players. I'm sure Dunze would be off the board because if the Jets don't take him, then, the Bears probably sure as hell will.
Yeah.
The Broncos is interesting. The Broncos is actually a little bit more interesting to me just because I would sort of value that second rounder next year in addition to the pick you get this year. But that's not as fun. For this exercise, because then it's like, oh, like, you're talking about a second next year. But if it was up to me, and those trades were on the table, I would pocket that second rounder from Denver next year. Just because I don't think all four of those guys will be gone between 8 and 12. And in that case, you get maybe a Jared Verse plus a future second plus, maybe a fifth rounder this year. Because, given the fact that the Broncos don't have that second this year, they're going to have to probably sweeten the pot a little bit
Mhm.
with something added this year. So that would be my go-to move. But for the sake of this draft, let's just keep it simple. Let's move back with the Jets. Let's pocket the extra third, and let's just see who's on the board at 10.
Okay, yeah, we could do that for sure. Um, yeah, can do. Yeah, so we'll get 10, and then we will get 72 back, and they will almost certainly accept it. Um, okay. All right. So it's funny. They actually traded up for Olufushanu, which is hilarious to me. And then the Bears did take Jared Verse. Um,
I don't think the Bears would take Verse over Dunzi
I don't
here.
think so either. So we'll just say that the Bears took a Dunze, whatever. But we can still get our edge rusher of choice. Both Dallas Turner and Laiatu Latu are still here. Um, but yeah, I mean, is there anyone else you consider, or you just sort of take the edge rusher here? I mean, I think fans are probably pretty happy to just get because if you're like, I know there's like an argument that like the edge rushers maybe aren't the best players available still. I mean, I think at this point they're closer to that, certainly. I mean, because we're assuming that Adunze is gone here. But is there any other considerations, or would you just take the edge rushers? And I think we took Latu last time, right? So maybe we could take Turner this time. But
Yeah, we did take a lot to a lot. Yeah, at this point, at this stage, I would more so consider the edge rushers.
yeah,
Um,
Brock
just
Bowers for the memes, George.
if Arthur Smith was here, then that would probably be a feasible scenario. As sad as that sounds. Um, yeah, I mean, at this point, it would be one of the edge rushers or Dunze. Again, I don't think
Yeah.
Odunze
If
would
Odunze
be
was
there.
here, and we would just take Odunze and just walk away, like I mean, and just be
Yeah.
happy that we got the extra third. But that would not happen. I think. I think someone would be clamoring to get up with the Bears. I like the simulator's not very smart. Like I don't think the Jets would need to trade up for Olufushanu. Like I think they were trading up for a receiver, obviously. So because the Bears aren't going to take Olufushanu at 9. I mean that they were either going to take a Dunze or an edge rusher. So we'll just assume what happened was the Jets actually trade up for a Dunze because that's what they would have done, and then the
We
Bears,
can,
yeah,
we can put in a poll between Turner, Latu. I think George Costanza mentioned Mitchell, and just for I don't want to put Bowers in there for the memes because I feel like everyone would just pick Bowers, and then it's like, all right.
yeah. All right, we're gonna
Um,
do Turner. We'll do Latu. We'll do Mitchell.
I guess Cooper DeJohn.
We could do Cooper DeJean too. I know some people like Terry on Arnold as well, but
I mean, yeah, the fourth one. I just know that, like, I feel like a lot of the chat would just meme Bowers, and then
we could put that on that would be a great like graphic, for this one, to really hype the people up. It's just like, oh, the Falcons take Brock Bowers. All right, well, we'll give that just a second, but yeah, so the Falcons have picked up that extra third, so that means we could probably consider trading back into the first or trading up in the second round. So we could like maybe try to pause the draft at a certain point and see if there's anyone we want to move up for. Or we could trade back into the second after our second round pick to get another player, so we do have some options, but
yeah. Also, it's like, I mean, if we pick up an extra third and grab one of these guys on the board, I think that's a win. Like,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
feel like we would all be satisfied at that. Now, I don't know if the Jets are moving up to 8. Maybe, maybe not. So we don't know. It takes two to tango.
I just think
That's
there's a
why.
lot of teams that could be interested in a Dunze, which is why I think it's got a good chance of happening. But you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one reason why I'm never too critical about the team not trading back is you never know what the offers actually are,
Yeah.
and that's never really revealed. But if it gets done, my only ask regarding a trade back is to the Falcons is just don't move back too much.
Yeah.
Like I get it, there's future considerations, but you're really setting yourself up to be a win now team with that Kirk Cousins pick, and you really want to get one of these blue chip prospects to take advantage of what is the easiest schedule in the league this year, and you really, really need to make a run at the division this season. Like I don't care that it's Raheem Morris's first season. I don't care that it's Cousins' first season. Like this
Yeah.
team, this city really needs a playoff run.
Yeah. No, we really do. And it is going to be Dallas Turner at 80% of the votes. So we'll go with Turner here. Which again, I ultimately think that it will be Turner that they do decide to take if they take an edge rusher. Um, so, it's one of those things. I just feel like he fits what they like. Like they like long edge rushers, and the fact that he's one of the only edge rushers in this class that can cover, which shouldn't really be a huge consideration. I know it's been like a hot topic, but like
But
he can
Raheem
do
Morris
it.
has run that defense a lot with
Yeah.
the guy dropping off from the edge into the flat or into the zone. So
Hmm.
I mean, maybe that's the tiebreaker. Maybe that they're really like both or all three of the edge rushers, and they're like, all right, who can cover the best? So
Yeah. No,
not that
Lorenzo Carter's the best coverage edge in the NFL. Okay, so excuse me.
not that I really want to be picking my edge rusher based on how
No,
well they
no.
cover,
Yeah.
but maybe that's something they're considering. But just to spot for the record, I like Latu better than Turner or Verse, but just to spice it up, we picked Latu last time, so let's have some fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. And like I do think Latu is a good prospect and probably a better prospect right now, but Turner just feels to me like the guy they'll go with because of the length. If they stick with their guns on the length stuff, he's by far the longest of all the top edge rushers. He's longer than Jared Verse despite being like 2 inches shorter. So like he has the length, he's got the ceiling. They've got plenty of run defenders right now. Like they don't necessarily need him to play the run. Maybe he might just be a designated pass rusher this year, but he seems to fit the archetype the best. So that's kind of who I assume they'll go with. But all right, so here at 43, we add this to the poll. Okay, so some guys to consider. All right, so Tyler Nubin is the best player available. The safety, I love Tyler Nubin. I would not hesitate at all to add him here. I think he would be just the perfect guy to have next to Jesse Bates. Bo Nix still here. If they're looking to get like a long-term backup quarterback, Bo Nix is a good option, but again, I don't really see them doing that considering his age and stuff like that. Like this is not the exact type of developmental quarterback you want because I don't know if his ceiling is high enough, but TJ Tampa's definitely one that I would consider. I think he fits their sort of zone heavy scheme really well at corner. And then Troy Franklin, the wide receiver, is here as well. He's it's all the like Troy Franklin, Roman Wilson, and Ricky Pearsall are all like the receiver. I would consider all those guys here for the most part. They're all very good. See, I'll do Troy Franklin just because we haven't had him here before, so we'll add that to the mix. I like that little bit of craziness.
Matt Tom K does make a good point that we do need to consider the dog quota
Yeah.
at some point. It doesn't have to be right now, but we are contractually obligated to take at least one Georgia Bulldog in each mock. So that's just something to consider moving forward.
Yeah, well, I can throw Kamari Lassiter in here too because he's definitely in this range as well. I wouldn't take Lassiter over Tampa, but I do think he's like the next corner after Tampa, and he's worthy in this range.
Yeah, but he's a dog, so
he is a dog, so there is that. Yeah,
champion,
Yeah, so who of those like four? Let's say like Tyler Nubin at safety, TJ Tampa, Kamari Lassiter at corner, and Troy Franklin at wide receiver. Who do you like the best in this range?
I like Nubin the best, and I remember last time we almost took Nubin,
Mhm.
But we took Lad McConkey because the
Yeah.
value. I mean, the dog quota, obviously, but
Yeah.
even if he wasn't a dog, the value of taking Lad McConkey at this point is just too good to pass up. Now, I see McConkey goes to the Chiefs in this mock, which I think that would be a
Terrifying.
hell of a pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that for him would be the best possible landing spot,
Yeah.
just in general. So good for him if that scenario does play out. But yeah, Tyler Nubin, I remember we did go back and forth between Nubin and McConkey, and it was genuinely like a debate about like
Mhm.
I don't know, who to take between the two, and McConkey's talent just won out in the end. But Nubin is also really, really talented, and he
Yeah.
plays a really big position of need, a very underrated position of need.
Yeah.
W- I feel like we haven't, well, I haven't been on the show for a few weeks, but I feel like just the media and people in general haven't talked about the fact that the Falcons really do need a safety. It, you know, uh, Everyone talks about edge rushers, everyone talks about wide receivers, and rightfully so. The team does have those holes to fill, but safety is, right up there with them, honestly, and maybe even cornerback, to be honest with you, because Richie Grant cannot be the day one starter this year. I talked about it last time we did the mock. Richie Grant is not good enough to be a day one starter. Richie Grant is a sunk cost in the second
Yeah.
round at this point. And, the team has not addressed that. Uh, uh, the team has not addressed that need at all in free agency. I don't think they've even looked at any safeties. DeMarco Hillams is a fine backup. I feel like he's going to be a seventh round steal from last year, and he's going to be a
Yeah.
guy that is going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
We saw the flashes with him last year in preseason. Uh, Special teams contributor, all that good stuff. I think Richie Grant could even be a cap casualty by the time training camp comes along. Um, but yeah, the team, I feel like Nubin would be, he's very long. He has the athleticism. The only reason why he would and probably will fall to the second round, he doesn't have that, very sexy straight line speed that
Right.
GMs seem to covet.
Yeah, but it's like
But
it's that 40 for safety is so overrated. Like, I mean, and you know this, but like I always bring up Desmond Southward. It's like he's the fastest safety in the West, and look what it
that's
got
been
him.
south.
If you have the
Man, what
instincts,
a
you
name.
don't need elite long speed, and they already have Jesse Bates to be the single high safety. Like this scheme, like they will still play two safety stuff, but I think a lot of the time they will like emphasize a box safety more. And when they do play two safety, like split safety stuff, like they don't need both of their safeties to be able to play single high. It's nice. But I like Nubin didn't test as well as I think he plays. I think his play speed is way better than his testing speed, and that just happens for guys that are instinctual and smart. But like I just feel like Nubin is a great compliment, and getting a cheap like good running mate for Jesse Bates like for 4 years is really important. I feel like because they're not going to be able to spend on another safety really. Um, and if you've already got your third safety and DeMarco Helms locked up, you're happy there. So you can basically solve safety for like 3 years if with this pick. And move on to other needs. And the fan and the patrons and members agree. It's 80% for Tyler Nubin with a vote for TJ Tampa as well. So we'll move to Tyler Nubin, and then I did actually make sure to set the speed of the draft to slow, so we can actually take a look at like trading back into the second if we want. Um, so we'll let it run slow here. Yeah, this is much slower.
It's a
Okay.
great start to the draft, and I'm not just saying that because we're the ones making the picks with the patrons, but
Yeah.
Dallas Turner, Nubin, an extra third rounder, like we're cooking here.
Yeah. No, I think this is going well here. Um, and like I don't know if we want to try to consider. Yeah, TJ Tampa went at 51. This is still a little early for a trade up. Um,
There
let's
goes
see.
Tampa.
Yeah, Burton. Once we get to around like 60 is a lot of the times where I like to kind of stop and see if there's somebody interesting because you can do that for not too much cost here. So let's pause it. Um, it won't actually let me see the players that are available, which is odd. Um,
We first have to make a trade, and then we can see the players
Yes,
there.
we have to like play the game first. Yeah. No, I mean I think let's see. Yeah, I mean I think with Tampa going, Kamari Laster and Tampa are gone, so I don't know that there's a real need to trade up for. We could trade up for someone like a Kyrie Jackson because his, for his potential, it's probably a little early for that. We could probably wait a little bit longer, but you never know. At this point, I was hoping Ricky Pearsall would slide to 60 and then we could trade it up for him, but he didn't slide that far. It's possible
Wait,
some other guys might be.
does PFF really not let you see the big board right now?
Yeah, that's a big oversight, I think. Um, so that's weird. I didn't know that before, but I'm just gonna let it play out. I don't feel like super strong about anyone that I think is left here. Kieran Amagaji, Jonathan Brooks, we weren't interested in him. Christian Haynes. Maybe we just load up Adnan. We just take like because I think at this point, like honestly, having the extra third just to like make another pick might be nice. Like the Falcons, Kyrie Jackson goes 66. Yeah.
I mean, it'll help after they're docked for that tampering next year. They just have
There you
to
go. I mean, we need it, right? So
maybe trade one of these thirds for a third next year, so we
right,
can,
right. All right. So here at 72. Yes. Okay. So this is, I think, as much as some people hate it, I think this is a very realistic place where, especially with this extra pick that they take Spencer Rattler, I do think they're actually interested in Spencer Rattler. Whatever you feel about it, he's honestly like the same age as like Bo Nix and Mike Penix. He's a little bit younger, but like he is an older quarterback. But unlike those other guys, I think Spencer Rattler actually has that like potential. I mean, like Penix does have potential. Don't get me wrong, but he's interesting. I love Marshawn Nealand. I mean, if they wanted to double dip at edge, they could, because he's that sort of big end that they don't necessarily have either. Brandon Dorlus is interesting. I think he's a guy that needs to bulk up to play more like a 3-4 D end role in Atlanta. So that might be a little bit of a, it might take some time, but he is good. I do really like Javon Baker at wide receiver, so I would take him here for sure. And then there's like some more edge rushers like Austin Booker I like is like a developmental like pass rusher type guy. Johnny Wilson honestly has grown on me a little bit. I know he's a very like unusual wide receiver prospect, but his biggest issue was his hands. Then at the Senior Bowl, he like caught everything, and then I was like, wow, maybe he really worked on that. So I don't know. Like I'm like coming around. I wouldn't take him over Javon Baker, but and then at corner, Jaden Hicks is here too. So yeah, I mean, if this worked out, Jaden Hicks would have been a nice pick if we didn't take Newman before. But he rarely actually falls this far, so I wouldn't depend on that. But like the two FSU corners are here, Renardo Green and Jarian Jones. I think Green is the more outside corner. I think Jarian Jones is the more slot corner. So the Falcons would probably be a little bit more interested in Green. Chris Abrams-Drain is in this range too. DJ James from Auburn as well. But those are some interesting guys. So I think, let's see. T'Vondre Sweat too. I know we got a lot of T'Vondre Sweat fans, but I'll run like a poll and then we'll like see if, because like we pick again in like 2 picks. So like maybe we can get a couple of these guys in here. But let's see. I'll put Rattler in.
put Nealand in there.
Okay.
It's because, like you said, I think they would value that really big-bodied, powerful, athletic guy.
Yeah, and he moves really well too.
I know we took Sweat here last time, or in the third last time.
Yeah. I'll throw him in there as well just because I know he's popular. And then put Javon Baker in the mix. All right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like Nealand. I do think, like, Rattler, if you want him, you probably can't wait. I don't think we have to worry about the Lions taking Rattler. So we can probably take Nealand first if we want.
The Lions took Hooker last year.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think they're gonna take Rattler. Usually Rattler goes right after pick 74. It's kind of funny. Like a lot of times I'd be like, "Oh, Rattler's still here. I'll just like take him at 79." And then like he almost always goes like to the Bears or some like somebody else random. I mean the Broncos Raiders, if they hadn't taken a quarterback yet, that's a lot of times where they'll take Rattler. I know the fans. We got a lot of fans of Tavondre Sweat here as well. I think we can probably get Sweat a little bit later as well. We definitely have a lot of Sweat fans loving the Sweat. There's so many good puns you can do with Tavondre Sweat. That's another upside to that pick.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, like because I don't know. I'm not a big fan of grabbing developmental guys in the middle rounds. I don't think that really works out very often.
Oh yeah, he's
Uh,
got the DUI too. Yeah, I forgot about that. So he's probably actually going to go later than this in reality. I forgot about that. Thanks for letting me know,
that's what
reminding me. Yeah.
um I don't know. Like with Rattler, if you are going to grab a developmental guy, it would be Rattler. I just don't like the idea of that. In general, I think it's a sort of a waste of a pick, given the hit rate with those guys. And I mean, we did just have our own third rounder from a couple of years ago not really work out at the quarterback position. Um, I think the results ended up coming back as a Nealon 40, Sweat 40. I
Yeah.
think
I'm gonna run
it
another one because I think the Falcons will take Sweat off their board. I forgot about the DUI. I don't. They're just given what we know about them. I don't think that they'll have him on their board anymore after that. So
the other side of the coin to the developmental guy is this would sort of be the place to do it,
yeah,
given the fact that you have three third rounders all within like what 7 picks of each other, 7, 8 picks of each other. So it's like it wouldn't be as bad. Although to be completely honest with you, I do think that I doubt that they would make all three of those third round picks. I think they would look to either trade up to use it as ammunition, or they would maybe even trade out of it. I don't think they want to make three third rounders all within like 7 picks of each other.
yeah.
Um,
I think you're right. Like I think they would probably try to trade back up for like a corner or something like that. I'm gonna run another poll without Sweat in there just because I agree with you guys. I don't think he's actually gonna be on their board, but um, no, Cedric Van Pran is also interesting. Um, that's another one to consider. Like if they want to get another center in here to possibly push Drew Dahlman, seeing as he's going to be a free agent next year. That is another one to consider too. So we'll run another one after these next two picks because we'll probably take two of these four, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I agree. I forgot about the Sweat DUI. It's really unfortunate timing for him, obviously. So if you guys want to revote, I'll put up another poll. I'll just put Renardo Green in there instead of Sweat. But yeah,
and the team does need another wide receiver.
yeah, they
Uh,
do. They do. I think
like
Baker would be a good fit, obviously. Too. I think he's kind of underrated. Well, that's maybe that's my UCF bias, but
I mean, last time we took a UCF player on day two, it didn't really work out.
you know what? Last time we signed a UCF player, it didn't work out so well. Okay. All right. Now we got Marshawn Nealand as the winner with Spencer Rattler in second. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get those two for these next two picks. We'll get Nealand here at 72. And then, yeah, Rattler is here. So we'll take Rattler as well. And
it's a lot easier to swallow when you have the extra third rounder, even though I don't. Yeah.
I agree. Like, I think they just want a developmental third quarterback really bad. And, like, I think at least with Rattler, there's, like, some upside. Yeah, so because they have the extra third, that basically gave them the opportunity to do it without it really hurting your draft. And then what do you know? Javon Baker here, still at 79. So we can get the third player on the list as well. So that does put off corner, but we do get Nubin. So I feel like Nubin's a really big boost to the secondary. So maybe we can I think between like Clark Phillips and Antonio Hamilton and all those guys, like you could probably cobble together a decent second corner. Like I think they're fairly confident in Clark Phillips. I think they would have made a bigger move at corner if they weren't, but we'll see. So we'll get Baker here.
There's no way you can fill everything. I
No, you
mean,
can't. Even with an
we're
extra third, yeah.
I mean, we're double dipping at edge and we're taking the quarterback. No, maybe
Yeah.
we could have done everything actually.
Maybe we can do everything. Yeah. I mean, you can. It wasn't the value at corner like wasn't amazing with those picks, but all right, yeah. So here, 109. I mean, obviously we could consider a corner. We could consider like an interior defensive lineman. There's all the developmental edge rushers are kind of in this range too. Um, let's see. I don't think they'll take a tight end this high. I think they might be actually be considering a tight end at some point. But I don't think they'll take one like super duper high. All right, let's see. So let's do. All right, so at this point, let's do. Okay. I really like Cam Hart. I think in this range, I think he's the one they would go with given their proclivities for zone. Let's see. Then we also got Dwayne Carter's still here. Leonard Taylor the third if they want to go like swing really big on interior defensive line. We'll do Dwayne Carter as well.
Van Pran.
Yeah, Van Pran's not here anymore. I would have definitely considered Van Pran if he was still here. Yeah, I don't love the tackles. Let's see. We'll do Xavier Thomas too. He's always a good one in this range at edge.
The only thing about edge is they double.
Oh, we already have two. Yeah, we're not getting another one. He won't make the roster at that point. That's right. Yeah, we shouldn't do edge. Let's see. I'll add. We'll do Cam Hart. We'll do DJ James as well because I know he has a lot of fans. I think he might end up being a slot, which is why I'm not as high, but certainly interesting. And then let's see. Oh man, my son Malik Washington. I'm always tempted by Malik. We'll add an offensive lineman in here too. Let's Christian Jones from Texas. He's like interesting as a developmental. I think they could be looking at an offensive tackle in this range. So let's see what you guys think as we get into day 3 here.
I made the argument last time about the tackle where they'd have to beat out Storm Norton if they wanted to make the roster. And I feel like Norton was really, really good last year, and it's sort of he does fit into that win now mold. I think last year was one of the best swing tackles in the NFL. But yeah, like I think the only way I would go tackle in this draft would be if Joel fell at 8, just because I think he's good enough to where you consider trading McGarry.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, we'll give you guys a couple minutes to weigh in on that. I definitely think like corner obviously is the biggest need.
Yeah, the corner is definitely the biggest need here.
Yeah, certainly. I like Cam Hart too. Like I think like he honestly has like starting potential. I just don't know how much he's going to be able to play this year, which is a little bit concerning. But I mean, he played really well at the Senior Bowl. Like to his credit, like he's a guy that's got that sort of like raw developmental label. But I thought he like acquitted himself well, and he had a really good season this year. And he's like just huge and a great athlete. So I mean, that always helps. But
I mean, the team does look at RAS score.
Yeah, they definitely do.
I I take well, I've always taken credit as being the first person that noticed that in 2021 of,
Hmm.
oh, every single player they're taking has like a RAS score of like over 9.
Yeah, like pretty much everyone. Yeah. All right.
Maybe this is a trend here.
It could be,
Um,
and you figured it out. Cracked the code. All right, we have it's a landslide for Cam Hart, so we'll go with Cam Hart here. Keep this board moving, just because I want to make sure we get through all these picks before we run out of time here. So we got a fifth, and then we got 2/6, and we'll probably just do the sixths off vibes. But for the fifth, we'll collect some thoughts here. All right, so this is the range where it starts to be like they'll just, especially since they have that extra third, they could just kind of do whatever they want. I don't know that they'll really consider like running back super high here. Like I don't, it's not that big of a need that I think they would make it like a fifth round pick. But like, I mean, it's the fifth round, so who cares? But they could take an interior guy. Like this guy's not on the PFF simulator, but Fabian Lovett Sr. I don't know why he's not on the simulator. He's like gonna be a day three, like early day three pick. But Fabian Lovett Sr. is funny enough. After I like picked him in the last mock draft, I went and looked at his like NFL Combine profile, and he actually was comped to Eddie Goldman, which I thought was hilarious. Because Eddie Goldman then is now like back on the team, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to take Fabian Lovett here because it gives them like just a really good nose tackle. Like he's not a flashy pass rusher. He's a power rusher and a space eater and a two gapper. That's kind of what he does, and that's all he does. But he's a good one. And at this point in the draft, you're getting an early down starter in the fifth round, and you can't hate that. They could consider like linebacker here. Like I know Cedric Gray has a lot of fans. If they're looking to bolster that linebacker room, he's one that's interesting. Mason Smith from LSU is here.
Be a bad. I do want Gray in the poll for this one, for sure.
Yeah.
The big thing to consider here is also special teams.
Yeah.
I feel like we do have, some prior history and some precedent to where the team really values, or at least under Terry Fontenot, the team really values these special teams contributors on day three, fifth round, and on. I remember Avery Williams was I think he was a fifth rounder based completely on his return potential. So I do think that they will strongly consider special teams production here.
Yeah, I agree. I'll throw in Tyler Davis, the defensive tackle from Clemson, because I think he's like a baby Grady Jarrett. He is definitely someone that's interesting. And I'll throw in Theo Johnson at tight end because he is like a super athlete. He might be the kind of guy that they love to just like stash and play special teams and that sort of thing. So we'll do Cedric Gray, Fabian Lovett Sr., Tyler Davis, and Theo Johnson. Let's see what you guys think about those folks. But you're definitely right. Like they obviously taking linebackers at this point in day three is usually a good bet because a lot of times those guys can be early special teams contributors, and there's always starters at linebacker like on day three. Like it's one of the positions you can just find starters on day three without too much trouble. They do need the defensive line depth, especially on the interior. And I think like Nealand can do some of that. Like I think if he bulks up a bit, he could potentially kick inside and be that like 3-4 defensive end, like on passing downs. But I don't know that he'll do that like immediately. But Tyler Davis, if they're looking for like another Grady Jarrett like player, he's not as good as Grady, but he's definitely just a good like depth defensive tackle that can do some of those things. And then Theo Johnson is just like a just super athlete at tight end that is going to need to develop, but definitely very athletic. No question about that. He is an interesting player.
Giving me Eric Saubert flashbacks.
Yeah. All right, we got. Oh man, it's neck and neck. Okay, Fabian Lovett has pulled ahead, but we got some votes for Tyler Davis and Cedric Gray as well. So we'll give it just a second, see if anyone can. Fabian Lovett has taken the lead, so we'll give. I know there's like several of you in here, so we'll make sure everyone gets a chance to vote before we move on to the sixth rounders.
Now remember, we do need a dog before the draft is out.
We got to find a dog, yeah. Maybe
we
can.
The draft is invalid.
Right. I don't know. I think Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saint might be gone before the draft ends. So, oh wait, Dominic Lovett, the wide receiver. I think we can probably get him. He's usually there, so we can keep that as our ace in the hole if we need it. Um, all right, we'll go. Okay, it's gonna be Fabian Lovett Senior here, who again is not in the PFF simulator, which is a travesty. So I'll just take the next defensive tackle on the board, and we'll call it Fabian Lovett Senior. You can do that, when you're a professional. You can just fudge it a little bit and say, "Yeah, I got this guy." You don't have to obey the simulator. Yeah.
I mean, it's not your fault or it's PFF's fault.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard Trevor Sikkema talk about Fabian Lovett, so I'm really shocked that he's not on this board. But all right.
All right,
so at
now
this point, it's
we're in the
vibes.
sixth round. Yeah, we need a dog and we need someone with the best name.
Well, I know the Falcons have visited with Tip Ryman, the tight end from Illinois. So he's near the top of the board here. Just like a great athlete that doesn't do a whole lot otherwise, but at almost pick 200, you're just looking. He could play special teams. We talked about that, right? This is also the spot where I feel like they could take like a depth running back. Cody Schrader is always interesting. Anthony Gold is here at wide receiver too. I really like. There's like a lot of guys that I don't think will be here, like Hunter Norzad from Penn State at center. I think he's like probably going to go like 4th round as like a depth center. So I think
We took
obviously
Steel Chambers last time.
that's right. Yeah. Brennan Jackson's good. He has short arms, so that might disqualify him off the Falcons board. But I don't even know how many dogs are left. We might have to go with Dominic Lovett to fulfill the dog quota. So we'll save that for the last pick. But I wonder. I don't know. Hunter Norzad's kind of a cool name. And it actually makes sense. I think he's gonna go earlier than this, but if he is here, it wouldn't shock me if they're looking to have a center battle or because I like Ryan Newsel. So I do wonder if they are happy with his development and maybe want to give him a shot. But getting some insurance might be not a bad idea in case they need to let Dahlman walk. So he would be interesting. Obviously, Anthony Gold I like a lot, and I would take him here probably.
They have let Matt Hennessy go.
Yeah, they let Matt Hennessy go. Yeah, they let him walk. So, let's see. What do you think? You got strong takes?
No, I don't. We can roll with the center.
Yeah, we'll go with Hunter Norzad. That's a pretty good name. And now we're gonna fulfill our dog quota with Dominic Lovett, who I know nothing about. He's 5'10", 179. He is a primarily slot receiver. Averaged over 11 yards per catch. That's not bad. Last year he averaged almost 15. It's pretty good. Dominic Lovett. 81.7 grade versus man coverage. That's good. That's respectable. Yeah, okay. We'll do it. He's probably going to go undrafted in the real draft, but we got to fulfill the dog quota. We can't risk him getting away. So we'll go with Dominic Lovett here just because. But yeah, there you have it. Let's see our draft here, and we'll recap real quick before we let you guys go. But while we're waiting for the rest of the draft to finish, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thanks for all your support. Reminder that we will be having a patron and members exclusive giveaway during the draft party. You don't have to be there to win it, but if you are there, that would be cool. But we're also not going to make you we're probably going to give it away on day 3. So if you're not here we're going to give it away during the 6th round, so if you're not here for the deep, of the, no, I'm just kidding. You have to be there to, no. So yeah, that will be one thing we're doing. So thanks to George Costanza for that once again. We'll also be giving out, gift cards, on each day of the draft as well. But yeah, we got Dallas Turner at 10 after a trade down with the Jets where we picked up their 3rd rounder in exchange for moving just 2 spots. We still get Dallas Turner there, and obviously the Falcons are happy with that. We get Tyler Nubin at 43, the safety from Minnesota, to really solidify the secondary in that spot across from Jesse Bates and give the Falcons I think in a year, this could be talked about as one of the best safety duos in the NFL, no question. So I love that pick. It's not a corner, but it does help the secondary in a big way, which they still need. Falcons double dip at edge, which I think is potentially like on the table for sure.
We've been
Take
talking
Marshawn
about that for a
Nealand.
decade.
Yeah.
They never do it.
Yeah, right. I mean, they did it that one time with Malone and Arnold Ebiketie. Unfortunately, it's like maybe neither of them are good, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Ebiketie's
Uh,
okay. Ebiketie's, I
Now
think
they'll
that
super never do it. Yeah.
yeah. No, this is now or never this year. I think to change back to the 3-4 is good for both of them. So hopefully they'll both hit now. But we get Nealand at 72, which is the pick from the Jets. Then we get Spencer Rattler as our developmental quarterback at 74. Then with the Ridley pick, we take another receiver. That's Javon Baker from UCF. Charge on. Then at 109, we got Cam Hart, the corner from Notre Dame. Round 5, pick 143. Ignore what the board says. We took Fabian Lovett Sr., the nose tackle from Florida State there. And then round 6, 187, we got the very coolly named center Hunter Norzad from Penn State to back up Drew Dalman and potentially challenge down the road if he develops. And then we fulfilled the dog quota with wide receiver Dominic Lovett.
Like a ride. 2 Ds.
Yeah, no, they don't like. Honestly, Hunter Norzad's probably going in the 4th round, so I think their board is just like wrong on him. But whatever, they hate it. But yeah, you can see that those picks, those late picks, like don't matter at all. Like because we still got an A- for the overall draft, so they do not care about those ones. Yeah, so cool draft. I like it. It was definitely unique. I do think in terms of the trade down, like this is the year where I think it's the most likely to happen. And by that, I mean, it's like a 25% chance to happen, but that's higher, I think, than it's been before. So there's a chance there. Any thoughts from you, Adnan, on how this ended up shaking out?
It doesn't happen this year. It'll never happen.
Yeah, this is the year. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good draft. I will say the one thing is, I do think if I could go back, we did not prioritize those positions of need as much as I think the team will, with a wide receiver and cornerback waiting for day 3. Well, Javon Baker late day 2.
Mhm.
But basically, the first wide receiver / corner was the 5th pick that was made. I do think that would be different. I doubt that they do double dip at edge, even though I really like Nealand where we got him. But overall, yeah, you pick up an extra 3rd rounder. I'm a really big Tyler Newman fan. Dallas Turner, we switched it up. We got one of those edges that we really like, while adding a 3rd rounder. So you filled those 2 big needs. You filled a couple of needs down the line. You got your Georgia Bulldog. So
That's the
overall
most important need of all. Yeah.
Overall, it was a solid draft. I
Yeah.
like the one we did last time a bit more, but then again, and how many mock drafts is Lad McConkey falling?
Yeah, that helped. That helped for sure. But yeah, I mean, I wonder, like, I forgot to mess with the speed, so like we could have potentially tried to trade up for someone in like the 2nd round.
Also, big L for PFF. Like,
yeah, you can't see who's there. Yeah, what the heck? Yeah.
Yeah, how do you not let me see who's there before I decide if I want to trade up?
So, yeah, I do like the simulator PFF. Good job. Like, you guys have definitely made this, like with the Draft Network basically going kaput. You guys have made this much better. I actually like it quite a bit now. And shout out to Trevor Sickham, obviously, for the rankings, which I think this year's rankings on PFF have been better than they've been sometimes before. But yeah, give us the ability to see who's there during the trade, like, because I don't know how we're supposed. Like, I mean, I guess they assume I just have this big board like open that I'm just like tracking the picks like the real draft. I'm not doing that, so yeah, a little bit of an oversight there, but overall I like it. Good job. Thanks to everyone for hanging out. Appreciate you guys. Please like, subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. If you're not a patron or a member and you're watching this after the fact and you want to get involved with some of these cool interactive shows in the future, you can join up on YouTube or on our Patreon page. The links are in the show description. We will be back, of course, on Wednesday for the next Falcoholic Live as we get to just about a week away from the draft, Adnan. It's kind of crazy how quick it's coming, but it's almost here. So looking forward to that. We will have, of course, our live draft party during all 3 nights of the draft. Once again, working on getting some great guests for you guys. I know we've got, for leading up to the draft, we'll have some great guests too. Trying to get Eric Robinson back on the show. We're gonna have Thor Nystrom coming on to talk draft prospects and a little get a little Vikings intel perhaps on Kirk Cousins and their plans as well in the process. And we're going to be going full steam ahead. I'll probably be doing like at least one mock draft a week up until the draft, just because this is the time you guys are eating them up. But thanks again for tuning in, guys. We appreciate y'all. Thanks to our patrons and members for supporting the show. Really means a lot. And we will see you guys next time on the Falcoholic Live. Have a great night, folks.